Dear friends, thank you so very much for joining us this first week of January with one of the best artists possible. And I'm not exaggerating. Um, I would like to welcome single one of you and Happy New Year to the ones that just join us and to all of you. Uh, we will have a fantastic evening tonight. I will introduce Jack and then we will have our prayers first. Um, of course, Jack does not need me or anyone to introduce him at all, but this is something that they thought it's good to do at the beginning of a meeting. So with your permission, Jack gave me 3 lines. So if I want to really introduce him, I need my notebook, but I just will suffice with these 3 lines. Uh, Jack Lenz is a Baha'i composer who has written songs, films, scores, and TV scores for films and TV series. He is dedicated to bringing hope to his fellow human beings through music and film. He has 7 children and lives in Toronto. With this very short beginning, I would like to ask the prayers to be started. Mr. Liu from Malaysia, please.
Okay, shall we start? So let's pray in Bahasa Malaysia. Ku terwujud semula daku di bumiku. Ku terwujud semula daku di bumiku. Supaya di syurgaku aku dapat ingat Engkau, supaya di syurgaku aku dapat ingat Engkau. Demikianlah mata diriku dan dirimu akan dihiburkan. Demikianlah mata diriku dan dirimu akan dihiburkan.
This is a prayer in Chinese. I will try to translate the removal of difficulties. 除了上帝，还有谁是救苦救难者？有缘乐，赞美归于上帝，他是上帝，万众却其不语，人人终其领域。八宝。
This is the remover of difficulties from His Holiness the Bob. It's in the Northern Shoshone language. And I offer this prayer for all those people who are suffering in California from the fires. Ayara cho tauringi achu sohothan gonsosan. Enga yohotsi. Tujanakni o tauringi. Oyaklanaki akaka. Dawani kitu. O danani. Sothan.
Aloha, aloha, aloha. Aloha, aloha, aloha. He who puts his trust in God, God will suffice him. He who fears God, God will send him relief. He who puts his trust in God, God will suffice him. He who fears God, God will send him relief. He who puts his trust in God, God will suffice him. He who fears God, God will send him relief. He who puts his trust in God, God will suffice him. He who fears God, God will send him relief. God will send him relief. God will send him relief. He who puts his trust in God, God will suffice him. He who fears God, God will send him relief.
I just wanted to welcome Gary. Thank you, Gary, for being here, and thanks for the prayer. I appreciate it. I forgot to announce that Jack would speak about music, art, and the soul.
Thank you very much, Farouz. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody? Okay, good. Yes, I never, uh, I don't do this enough to be really well prepared for it, but I'll do my best. I've just gotten over COVID, and so I break into fantastic fits of coughing, which are not very musical. But I'm also very, very grateful for our medical system here in Canada. I'm not sure if how many of our friends here are from Canada today, but we have a daughter that's very compromised that I've talked about to Farouz and many of you, whose name is Mercy. And for 4 years, we managed to protect her from COVID and got all of her shots and all of our shots, and we just at the we sort of thought we were through it, but she got so sick over the holidays, along with her mom and I, and we all got the bug, but she is compromised, so she ended up in the hospital, and it's been shall we say a rigorous couple of weeks, but I'll do my best because I want to always try to serve. And also I want to thank Farouz again for the opportunity to come and chat with you, but also to hopefully be able to play some songs and be able to sing away. The thing that they didn't tell me in Saskatchewan when I was growing up was that it wasn't enough to play the piano. You had to actually sing as well. And so I've always thought that I'm a much better piano player than a singer, but I'll do my best. And I wanted to start with a song that I really believe is about where inspiration comes from and why it comes to those who maybe are inadequate vessels of receipt of such inspiration. But it doesn't stop us somehow as songwriters from trying to express where beauty comes from and where it originates. And this may surprise some of you, but there have been purveyors of beauty for centuries and centuries. And I'm not just talking about artists, I'm talking about great souls. And we know them by their names because their names have been preserved throughout history, despite the fact that there's very little else that's been preserved for as long as these names. And I'm talking about the prophets of God, the manifestations or messengers of God. We use different terms for them. But for example, in the Bible, it talks about Adam in Genesis. I'm sure you've heard about it or read about it. But Adam, in fact, was a prophet of God. He's described as the first man, but it's symbolic language in Genesis about Adam. And from the Baha'i teachings perspective, and even from Islam, Adam was considered the first prophet of a cycle called the Adamic cycle, because we know that human beings have been around for a lot longer than recorded history, and human beings have been around a lot longer than the Bible. This is I'll just tell you this one funny story that for many people, I think they thought Adam and Eve kind of rode on dinosaurs to church. But in fact, they didn't. and they actually existed in a time approximately 6,000 years ago that was the beginning of what the Baha'i community, or in the Baha'i teachings, referred to as the Adamic cycle. Prophets of God have been sent for millenniums and centuries to teach us, but most of that has not been recorded in history. So through the Bible, we understand the story of Adam and Eve, but the story of Adam and Eve was actually about consciousness and about choice. And that choice of the fruit of the tree of good and evil actually was an upliftment or a growth upwards for humanity, because having choice signified man or human beings as having consciousness and being conscious of their God and conscious of the importance of moral teachings to do right or wrong, right? So I didn't include Adam in this list because, I just thought that might stop people from listening. So the list actually of prophetic figures starts with this song, with Noah. And each name in the song has power. Each name has brought inspiration through humanity's history about reality. The physical sun, as we know, the physical sun brings all warmth and light and capacity for growth and capacity for nurturing. And it's at this perfect distance of 93 million miles from this planet. And through that, even in the winter, we are sustained by it, right? But that's symbolic in a sense of the spiritual son, and the spiritual son is the messenger of God who comes to this world to illumine the intellect, to illumine the heart, to bring light, a spiritual light to humanity. So I actually wrote this song for my children so that they could learn all the names of these prophets. But I really believe that it is where we are moving, that we will acknowledge as a complete human race, we will acknowledge that all of these teachers came to educate humanity, to reveal the beauty of God, and then the possibility that all human beings could attain the presence of God. That's what they taught. They confirmed one another in different ways. They all taught this same principle, what we call the golden rule in every religion. And they actually prophesied that there would come a time when humanity would be gathered together as one family, would live in harmony and peace, and that would be the beginning of what they referred to as a golden civilization. So here we are. We're at the beginning of this time because the last two prophets mentioned in this song are Baha'u'llah and the Bab and Baha'u'llah, who came in the 19th century and promised that now all the prophetic utterances of the prophets through the Adamic cycle from Adam to Muhammad would be realized for humanity, and that humanity would have for the first time the possibility of living as God had intended them to live, which is in the shadow of the kingdom of God. Jesus made this promise. He said right there in the Lord's Prayer, he said, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." I didn't use that line in the song, but it's sure a good one. And I'm hoping that you'll sing along, even though I can't hear you. Can you hear the piano okay? Okay. So here's how the song goes.
Yes.
Noah, Abraham, and Krishna, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus Christ, and Mohammed, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. Noah, Abraham, and Krishna. Jesus Christ and Mohammed, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. They are the waves of one sea, and they are the birds of one tree, singing one song. They are the lamps of one light. Come and be their lovers, be lovers, be lovers, be lovers of light. Noah, Abraham, and Krishna, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus Christ and Mohammed, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, thank you very much, friends. So my kids used to ask me, why do you do the little ding after Muhammad? Because when you go, Jesus Christ and Muhammad, or the Bob and Baha'u'llah. And the reason the little ding is there, I haven't told many people this, it's sort of a ding secret, is that that represents the end of the prophetic cycle. I call it the end of the prophetic cycle ding, because it is, Muhammad called himself the seal of the prophets, and that really confused a lot of people, like most of the Muslim world, for example, because when he said he was the seal of the prophets, it meant the seal of the Nabi. And the seal of the Nabi were also, was the name for prophets. But he did not say he was the seal of the Rasul, which are the messengers of God. So this concept is really important because so many people believe that no one would ever come after their religion. That would be the end of all the prophets or Rasul. But what he actually meant is that he meant the lesser prophets. At the same time, his whole revelation was about the idea that for Muhammad that the Adamic cycle was going to end with him. And so that we would be in a new cycle, which we call the Baha'i cycle, or the cycle of fulfillment. Now, you might wonder what that has to do with music and art, but I'm telling you, years of playing the piano and years of studying music and years of studying the Baha'i faith, the most important realization to me was that music would not exist without God. And music would not exist without the prophetic figures who have come through history. And it sounds simple, but I actually think that music that endures, and maybe I should make that qualification, because I'm sure that there's lots of music made that doesn't mention God or doesn't acknowledge God, or in fact may do the opposite. Abdu'l-Baha had this very interesting thing about music. He said music can either lead you to the spiritual world or it can lead you to your own passions, right? And I used to make the analogy to water. Even though I grew up with outdoor plumbing, I realized fairly early in my life that water could quench your thirst, it could refresh you, but it could also be used in a toilet. And so I think it's important to distinguish between music as service to God and music inspired by God and music that celebrates God. And some of the greatest music in the world is the music of J.S. Bach. And even though he was a church organist and even though he was employed by the church, every piece of music he wrote, every single piece of music he wrote was written to the glory of God. Well, I found this fascinating because I grew up playing Bach as a child. I really loved that music. It had such beauty and form and order to it. It was a music that brought you to a feeling of a sense of order in yourself. And only later did I realize that Baha'u'llah's name, translated into English, is the glory of God. And here was Bach, 300 years or more, writing music that was all inspired by the glory of God. And so the concept of beauty, the concept of where does beauty come from and why do we love beauty, comes in this mystical relationship between the soul and its creator. And the more I read, the more I realize that the focus of almost all religion is to allow the soul to grow to meet its creator, the source of its life, and to attain the presence of that creator. And there's just a wonderful quote by Théophile Gautier, who wrote about Baudelaire in France in the 19th century, and he said a very interesting thing. He said that when you hear a beautiful piece of music or see something, a drama or a piece of art, and it brings you to tears, he says, these tears are not necessarily tears of enjoyment. He says they are tears that express what he called an irritated melancholy. Because in that moment, when you felt such a sense of awe, where you felt such a sense of beauty and your soul was uplifted, he said you probably got a glimpse of the splendors situated beyond the tomb, beyond the grave. And I really feel like that glimpse that you get is the glimpse that comes through beauty. And that those beauties are the beauties that are actually situated beyond the tomb in a world far greater than this world. In a world that Christ talks about when he talks about the kingdom of God coming on earth. Because everything that I've read about that kingdom says that that kingdom is a kingdom of joy, is a kingdom of peace, is a kingdom of beauty, is a kingdom of love, of compassion, and beauty. And so when Théophile Gautier says that art and music reveal the splendors situated beyond the tomb, it really brings us to why we feel so deeply sometimes when we hear a piece of music or we hear an idea expressed in music or in art that really changes the way we think about things. And I can talk about it, and I've had moments in my life where I felt it. The strongest I ever felt it was that as a young person, I got to work with Jimmy Seals and Dash Crofts. And I got to tour with them and record some songs with them and to do a number of Baha'i events where they came and sang. And playing that music every night was the closest I ever felt to God. You have a song like Windflowers. And the idea of the song, what the song was about, was a father warning his son not to go too close to these windflowers because they would carry him away. And always in the fashion of the songs that Jimmy Seals wrote, there was always a much deeper message behind what seemed like popular music. And I think that we all kind of strive to be able to show and to be able to find really what that core is behind a song. What really inspired it? What made it work? And I remember a story after the Seals and Crofts recorded a song called Hummingbird, and Hummingbird is a song about Baha'u'llah. That Louis Shelton, who had produced the song, was driving down Hollywood Boulevard, and the song came on the radio, and he said he almost drove off the road because he never thought that commercial radio would play that song. And I always felt when we played that song that it was a prayer to Baha'u'llah, and even included words from the Baha'i writings. And so I think that we are, you know, that we're fortunate that artists through centuries have really striven to convey that sensitivity and that beauty that exists beyond the grave. And that's and I think that's what moves our souls and attracts us. I wrote this song about the idea of how love and compassion. You probably know this, but in every chapter or every surah of the Quran, each chapter, with the exception, I think, of Surah 9, starts with the phrase Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means God is compassionate and merciful. And I always thought that I would try to write a song about that. And it's such a vast subject because if we didn't have love and compassion in the world, I don't think the world would exist at all. Our world has been sustained by love and compassion, and by the example of prophetic figures who then wrote about the power of love and compassion to lift human beings up.
I'm sorry, Jack. Would it be possible for you to speak a bit louder? The music is perfect, but when you speak, it's a
It's
little
too
low.
soft?
A
Okay.
little. Thank you.
Yeah, I will try to do that.
Thank you very much.
I want to tell you about a story long ago, about a mother who sent her children out to sow the seeds of love and justice, plant them row by row, and trust us to be the gardeners of this beautiful world. The soil was hard, the children worked it night and day. Some lost hope and some they went their separate ways. So I'm asking Father to help us bring a world of love and justice and be the gardeners of this beautiful world. But I can see that love is coming, and I can see that love is coming, yes, and I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world, to the beautiful world. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world, to the beautiful. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world. Now it's fine, they must find their way. Find a kindness, find a vision of a brighter day. So I'm asking Mother to help us bring a world of love and justice and be the gardeners of this beautiful world. And I can see that love is coming. And I can see that love is coming, yes. I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world. Oh, how he loves to see the world come shining, yes. And oh, how he loves the beauty in every soul. Oh, how he loves to see the world come shining with love. And I can see that love is coming, yes. And I can see that love is coming, yes. And I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world. Love is coming to the 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 world. Thank you very much. I'm just going to sing a prayer. It's such a simple prayer. It's the actual words are, "O God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star." I know there are a couple of versions of this, but this is the one that I set to music. And then it says, "Thou art the mighty and powerful." And one of the things that I really thought a lot about is how simple this idea is, that human beings actually need guidance. human beings are in need of assistance, of direction, and that this idea that love and compassion originates somewhere, rather than the idea that somehow we're just here, the sun shines, we're born, we die, and that's it. And it's sort of like a fairly common view out there. And I don't know, I have a feeling that one of the ways to help people understand that we are creations of God, that we are assisted by God, that we are guided from our very moment of life, our first moment of life till the end of our lives, our physical lives, and then we are transported to a world that we don't necessarily know or understand. So this simple prayer where he says, "Oh God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of my heart, and make me a brilliant star." I just feel that kind of sums it all up. Because we are here to be guided. We are not without guidance. We are here to be assisted in our lives and to gain spiritual qualities. And so, even though I wrote this song for my children, or I wrote this melody for my children to this prayer, the idea of we are souls living in bodies, and we are souls that are here temporarily as part of our training. And this song says all of that because it talks about guidance, and it talks about bringing light to the soul, illumining the lamp of my heart. And even though it's a simple message and a simple melody, it has such a profound import for who we are and where we're going. Oh God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of my heart, and make The other thing that's interesting about that prayer, because I used to think of it as a children's prayer. It's obviously when it's in the Baha'i prayer books, it always says it's a children's prayer. And perhaps as you get older, you turn more into a child. But it's a really emotional prayer for me because it says, the first thing that it says is that we need guidance, right? And if you look at the human condition, and I don't want to dwell on the negative, but it's pretty tough to look at the condition of the world and think, well, we seem to be doing fine. we seem to not, we seem to be relatively unconscious as human beings right now of the incredibly difficult state of the world. So when this simple prayer says, "Oh God, guide me, protect me," I know that we sort of think that we're protected. We often think we're protected because we're in a home, we're in our car. Maybe the car's not so protected, but most of us, if you're not either before 6 or after 80, most of us are going out somewhere every day, and we expect somehow that we're going to be protected, right? We have an expectation that the sun will rise and the sun will set. We have an expectation that the world will have some kind of order. But for a majority of people on the planet, there's a great deal of uncertainty. So when this simple prayer says, "Oh God, guide me and protect me," the actual New Translation says, "Make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star." I always used to think, for what purpose? Why should I be a shining lamp and a brilliant star, right? And yet, imagine the impact in the world if we were each a shining lamp and a brilliant star. And so for our children, and trying to educate our children about these ideas, it is as if the prophets and messengers of God are in fact the progenitors of protection, the progenitors of guidance and following the words, "Oh God, guide me, protect me. Make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and powerful." The acknowledgement in the prayer that God is mighty and powerful and capable of guiding and protecting his creatures is something that is actually now assumed by very few. You know, the degree to which human beings have turned away from God is profound, and therefore not necessarily under his protection, and therefore not necessarily protected from their lower selves. And then this is why we need guidance. This is why we are in need of guidance. Oh God, guide me, protect me. We need guidance and we need protection because if we don't live by these great principles, we are subject to destruction. We are subject to being lost, being off the path, shall we say. So I wrote this song about the prophets many, many years ago. And it continues as do songs that are dedicated to truth. that are dedicated to the idea that human beings need guidance are subject to what's the best word? The uncertainties of life. I think it's the best way to say it. We are subject in this world, the physical world, to change and chance. And there's even a beautiful prayer that talks about the changes and chances of this world, right? So this idea of allowing ourselves, of understanding the idea that we need guidance. Oh God, guide me, protect me, make me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. The guidance and the protection comes along with the development and love of those remarkable figures in history, the prophets of God. So I'm going to sing a song that I wrote a long time ago, and I even though I can't hear you singing because you're all silenced in your little squares, as am I often. I wrote this song again for my children so that I could explain to them the succession of prophetic figures in the world, and that it didn't have to be all of them. It could be most of them, but it's important to say that these figures through history, and the song gives all their names, these figures through history have in fact been the source of guidance, but they've also been the source of all art and beauty, of all great art, of enduring art and beauty. Noah, Abraham, and Krishna, so it's a very interesting world if you tried in your heart and in your mind to imagine the world without these prophetic figures. It's sometimes when you take something away entirely, you're left with the reality of thinking, what would the world be like if we had not had the intervention of these prophetic figures in the life of humanity? And it's almost unthinkable. And my sense is, from what I've read, is that we would cease to exist. We would cease to exist as a human race if we did not have the influence, the guidance, the principles, the life principles of these messengers of God. And I don't know how, I really don't know how else to say it. But the world, there's a great quote from Baha'u'llah where he says, the world is in travail, right? The world is in travail. The world is in difficulty because we have essentially turned away from religion. We claim to have spirituality. We claim to have various views and things that somehow make us feel a little better. But the reality is that without the prophets of God, the world would not exist. Part of its existence is the fact that God, the Supreme Being, sends messengers to humanity approximately every 1,000 years because humanity is in need of guidance. And you don't have to look very far in the world today to realize how much we need guidance. We used to do this puppet show, and we had a character named Gary, and he had a little bit of a speech impediment. And we weren't making fun of him, but he would often be, his story was that he was usually lost somewhere in a forest. And all the trees were made of rubber, and he would wander between the rubber trees. And every once in a while he'd look at camera and he would say, "We are so lost." And I feel like that we have a humanity that's turned into Gary, right? Because we have, in a sense, refused guidance. We've kind of come up with all this stuff that we think for ourselves that is, in fact, so far away from reality, so far away from the idea that we are creations of God and that we have a destiny, right? Anyway, I wrote a song a long time ago. I think I'm going back to all the oldies and goldies, but I wrote a song a long time ago called "When Will It Be?" And it's a very serious song, obviously, and I'm really seriously hoping I can remember it because it goes back a ways. But in relationship to the idea that we have a spiritual destiny, and that we are, as a human race, moving towards our destiny. There are many who don't know that, and there are many who don't believe it. But all of the writings of Baha'u'llah and the Bab and of Abdu'l-Baha point to this idea that we are moving towards our destiny. And our destiny is to be a just world, to be a world at peace, and to be a world of justice. And so I wrote this song basically about the idea, asking a question: when will it be? And you could say, is it a rhetorical question? So when will this world be? a world of justice, a world of mercy, a world of kindness, a world of compassion, a world of equality, a world of the elimination of the extremes of wealth and poverty, a world of temperance, a world of moderation, not of excess, a world of respect for one another, a world of respect for one another's religious beliefs, a world where a religious belief doesn't mean that in order for your religion to dominate, you have to kill others. Baha'u'llah, in his teachings, forbade all violence in association with religion. He said it is better to be killed than to kill. And so often I think we all ask, well, when's this going to happen? I'm 75 this year, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I'm lucky, I've got another 10 years, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I don't even have that much time. But I certainly used to wonder, and we actually used to tell people, I actually have this on tape. We would do these firesides after the Seals and Crofts concerts, and we'd have 5,000, 10,000 people come. And we always used to say, and I think somehow we got it wrong, but the idea was that the lesser peace would come by the end of the last century. And you have to give us a little bit of credit, because we were in the 70s. It was 74, 75, 76. And we actually thought that this idea that the world would come to unity by the end of the century was true. And we would actually say it at the firesides. And I remember going back and looking at one and thinking, wow, we were really wrong. we were totally off base, that we somehow thought that the world was going to come to this glorious unity that Baha'u'llah prophesied by the end of the last century. So here we are in, now, my goodness, I'm going to have to relearn writing 2024. We're in 2025. We're 25 years past the turn of the century, and it's sure not looking like this lesser peace might be coming soon. But the question that the song asks, and it's a rhetorical question, this song asks, when will it be? Well, you could ask that about when's the first snow coming? When will it be could be about what time should I go to the chicken coop, which I used to have that job as a child in Saskatchewan. What time should I go to the chicken coop and know that there'll be eggs there? I really enjoyed that job, actually, and the chickens were always very kind to me. However, this idea of when will it be is really about the idea of when will we see the kingdom of God on earth? How long will it be? Is it up to us? Is it up to a handful of people who see the world as one, who want the world to live as one, who want peace, who want enduring salvation, enduring saving ourselves from ourselves? How long will that be? So I wrote this song and a long time ago, and it's actually called When Will It Be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? I see your women kneeling underneath the swords of pliers. I see your men of steel bending in your will of fire. And I hear you asking them, when will it be? When will it be? Cruelty knows no season. Cruelty knows no reason. Cruelty like a beast that knows no bounds. Cruelty from the left. Cruelty from the right. Cruelty from all sides. It has no vision, no feeling, no vision, no feeling, no vision, no feeling, no sound. When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? I see your loved ones there underneath the swords of liars. And I see your loved ones here. And I hear you asking them, when will it be? When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? I see your billion souls long for love and unity. And I see your waiting souls waiting for your melody. And I hear asking them, when will it be? When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? When will it be? Oh, just one. When will it be? When will it be? When will it be? When will it be? Yeah, I should have practiced that one more, but thank you for your kind hearts. I really, I know I told Farouz that this would be a fireside about music and about the power of the arts, and I always feel like certainly an inadequate vessel of such a thing. But I do really enjoy playing the piano. I have since I was about 12. I guess I kind of started late for most piano players. But I wanted to play a piece for you that reminds me of Saskatchewan. And could I have a show of hands of anybody who's actually been in Saskatchewan? Oh, not bad. Well, I would really recommend it. I did music for a film one time called Saskatchewan the Unplain. It actually wasn't true. It's very plain. And I've had friends drive across Saskatchewan who've never been across Saskatchewan before, and one of the things they say is that it needs some editing because it's a lot of flat ground. But I have to tell you, it's sacred ground, and I was lucky enough to really find out about the Baha'i faith in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And I didn't realize until later in my life that Danny Kaye, in a movie called The Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, used Saskatoon, Saskatchewan as an invocation to help him escape from a certain fate in a medieval town. So I've always thought of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan as having a certain kind of magic. And I wrote this piece. It's an instrumental piece, and I'll just say, because as I get older, I realize what a gift Saskatchewan was to me and my family. And there's an old joke that, in Saskatchewan, if your dog runs away, you can watch him for 3 days. And I always loved that idea, but it was true. Our closest neighbor lived about a mile away, and we could hear their screen door open and close. So it just gives you an idea of how special it was growing up in the prairies. And this is a song dedicated to that beautiful part of the world. Some say that you can actually hear the grain rolling in the wind. much of what much of what we all deal with, I think, on a daily basis, is connected to the idea that we are spiritual beings living in a physical world, and this idea is not new. Teilhard de Chardin, the Roman Catholic writer and philosopher, talked about this as to how it is that we experience the world. And I think it is through the arts that we get these glimpses of the next world. We don't know. We're still all, in a sense, guessing about what the nature of that world is. We don't, and I think it's interesting too that as you get older, at least I'm experiencing that, you think about it a lot more. You think about it a lot more because you're approaching it, whereas when you're young, you're not thinking about it so much, perhaps. But it does seem to me that we are getting closer to the idea of this world, this physical world, being a greater reflection of the spiritual world. And all the prophetic examples of this, even in the Lord's Prayer, where it says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," implying that there is a higher order in worlds beyond this world, and that we are maybe part of an interesting time to be alive, where we can see it approaching. We can see actually this idea of this physical earth becoming a greater reflection of the spiritual world. And in fact, that really is the core. It's the core message of the Bab and Baha'u'llah in the Baha'i teachings, but it's also something that's been promised for centuries. It's been promised in all the holy books that there would be a day of God, a day of this earth becoming a greater reflection of heaven or of the next world. It's very difficult to live in a world where there's so much suffering around us, and where we're often a part of that suffering. But I always felt like we haven't really acknowledged, in a sense, as a human race, where we came from. And so this idea of origin, the idea of the origin of the species, which has been a scientific study for a long time, that the origin of this particular species of human beings it is unique, and it is something that propels us to think about much deeper questions. The existence of the soul, the concept that the soul it has an association with the body in this world, but then is released from that cage, in a sense, and moves on to a different world. A world that is, from what we can understand, is free of place and time. A world that is sanctified from pain. I'm sure we've all experienced pain. I lost my mom when I was in my late teens to cancer. And it was such a shock to me that, you know, a person who is so dear and important in your life could be taken in her early 40s, right? And I don't think anything really prepared me for that. I was a relatively new Baha'i. I had just found out about the Baha'i teachings, and I of course was very excited to talk to her about it. But she was on her way out. she wasn't staying long, and I just remember how extraordinary it felt to lose someone who you were really close to, who loved art and loved music and encouraged all of her children to explore that part of themselves, even though she was a farm girl from Eston, Saskatchewan, right? One of 10 children who grew up on a farm, and the farm life was all she knew, and then became a teacher. But it's interesting to me how she knew that there was more, right? She found more through literature. She found more in her life through reading, she loved all of the great poets. She loved James Joyce. She reveled in these writers who challenged, I guess, her perhaps Eston, Saskatchewan provincialism, and I think it's sort of like we are now as a human race. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out where we're going and where this is all going and why we're here and what we're supposed to do. And then in the 19th century along comes these two great figures, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, and basically say that we are at this turning point where we're going to realize that the existence of this plan of God has been in place for centuries and is now coming to a stage of fulfillment where we're going to actually create a lasting and enduring unity among the peoples of the earth, where we're actually going to, he says, live in a condition or a state of peace for over 5,000 centuries. And yet, all we've known, in a sense, is conflict and war and maybe little respites where we haven't had that, but mostly it's been conflict and war for centuries. So to try to imagine that world, it's very hard in the midst of how we live. And the one thing that I think that music and art do is they allow you that glimpse, as we talked about, of the splendors situated beyond the tomb. And they allow you to be able to have confidence and hope in that very, in what I call big ideas. The big ideas of the Baha'i faith are that we are destined to live in a golden age for 5,000 centuries as a human race, and that we are at the very beginning of our maturity. We're coming out of adolescence and we're heading for maturity. And I think that that's such a positive view of the world in a time when things are not so positive. So anyway, I won't dwell on it. But I want to maybe, Ferouz, is it okay if I do one more song? Are you okay with that?
You can continue to the eternity, Jack.
Oh, please don't tell somebody from Saskatchewan that, because we see eternity every day in the flat, the flat world that goes on forever. No, I'm just trying to think of this, I have to tell you, now I have lists. This is a list of songs here, right? It's several pages long, and I can look at it and I can say, well, I used to know those songs, but sometimes I forget them. So I'm going to try to find one that I know I can remember, and hopefully that's something that is inspiring for you all. The other thing that's happening to me, and I'm not sure if it's happened to all of you, certainly at 75, but I sometimes don't quite remember what I've said or what I've done for as long as I maybe should. So, oh dear.
Do you remember Let It Be This Generation?
Oh, you know what? Oh, that's such a nice request. But I can't remember it.
Mhm.
Sorry. I can remember, let it be this generation to bring peace, bring it to the world. Let it be this generation to bring peace, bring it to the world. Let it be this generation to bring peace. But the rest of it, I can't even remember the verses. So forgive me. I will. I
That was
promise.
enough. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
was it?
Next time, would it be
Next time I'll learn it. I promise.
please, and Indy, come back. So next time, maybe in March for No Rules.
Sure, I would love
Okay.
to. So
Jack, I was at the youth conference when that was premiered, and I still have my
Really?
cassette tape.
that was in 1984.
Yeah, I have my cassette tape that I bought from the youth conference.
Amazing. It had a yellow cover, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Doug Cameron actually spoke on that on
He
that
did?
on that particular piece. Yeah, I saw the play premiered on stage. It was great.
Wow. Well, you have a much better memory than I do. But what I remember about that is that we ambitiously tried to tell the story of the Bob in half an hour.
Yeah, it was transformative for everyone in attendance.
Yeah, yeah, that's so sweet. Uh, let me just see if I can.
We raised our babies on these. They know them. They're grown adults and they'll sing these
Oh, isn't that sweet?
songs.
Yeah. Well, you know that maybe you'll remember this one. I was trying to remember it the other day. It goes like this. Maybe you'll remember it. I think it was on the We Are Baha'is record too. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at dawn. God's love so strong at dawn. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at night. God's light so bright, midnight. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at noon. God's love comes soon, real soon. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at night. God's light so bright, midnight. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at noon. God's love comes soon, real soon. We're praying in the morning, we're praying in the evening, we're praying at night. God's light so bright, midnight. Allahu Akbar, 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 Allahu Akbar. can remember that one.
I do. I do.
Oh, you do?
Me too, me too.
I think it was yesterday.
Yes, it might have been yesterday. Yeah, yeah. Uh, so I do have a song that I really love that's about Baha'u'llah, and it's called "Come Back to Me." And I don't know if any of you remember it, but you'll forgive me if I forget the lyrics here and there. But the idea is, it's a wonderful idea that that Rumi talks about in a poem, where he says, "Come." It's like God is gesturing the soul. He says, "Come, come back to me. No matter if you haven't prayed a single word, no matter if you haven't remembered me, come back to me." And I love that idea, and so I wrote the idea as if a person had an opportunity, at least in his imagination or her imagination, to meet Baha'u'llah in prison, because so many of the images that are associated with what we remember or what we think about the life of Baha'u'llah is that he spent, from basically 1852 until 1892 as a captor somewhere, whether it was in the Siachal in Tehran or under house arrest in Baghdad, all through his travels, Adrianople, and then ending up in 1868 in the prison city of Akka, the prison fortress of Akka, which was a known penal colony for the worst criminals and the worst conditions possible. And he survived that until 1892. So this song was kind of about the idea that you can always come back. You're not the grace and mercy of God is never limited. It's perhaps only limited by our own imagination. Anyway, so this is a song called "Come Back to Me." It's the kind of light you only see in prison, a dusty light that fades against his face. You look at him with wonderment. Who has ever seen one like this? And he says, "Come back, come back, come back to me." Yes, he says, "Come back, come back, come back, come back to me." all he'll be there. So come, come, come to this timeless, placeless face. He looks at you with tenderness. Who has ever seen one like this? And he says, come back, come back, come back to me. Yes, he says, come back, come back, come back, come back to me.
So tender. Rumi says, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is a caravan of despair. Come, even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times. Come, yet again, come. That was so beautiful, Jack.
Well, thank you so much. And that's actually the first line of the bridge, but I forgot it. Thank you for reminding me. Even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, even if you've forgotten to pray a single line, come back to me. Love will always be there when you turn your face. Love will always be there. So come to this timeless, placeless face. I have to thank my mother for her love of poetry. I used to love Leonard Cohen. I still love Leonard Cohen. I'll always love Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan and all the poets that we've had in this last 100 years. And again, those are contemporary poets. But she had such a great love of poetry, and I remember her reading oh my goodness, my memory, reading The Hollow Men to me when I was about 5 or 6 years old by T.S. Eliot, and I remember having this. It's crazy what you think of as a kid. I was trying to imagine in my mind when I was listening to this poem what a hollow man would look like, right? It just, what was that, right? It just was such an extraordinary experience to have a mom who read T.S. Eliot to you when you were 5. But she really believed that it would have an influence on us, right, as kids. And of course, growing up on a farm in Saskatchewan and hearing T.S. Eliot at 5 was also a very strange experience. But you know, the concept and the thing that Firuz and I had talked about was that it is through poetry, and it is through music, and it is through art generally. You know, there's a wonderful quote from the guardian of the Baha'i faith, Shoghi Effendi, where he says that the cause will spread like wildfire when its teachings are presented on the stage or in art and literature as a whole. He says, you know, cold rationalizing, he refers to cold rationalizing, he says, art can better awaken such noble sentiments rather than cold rationalizing. And that he said that in 1931, right? And now we're in 2025, if you can imagine. And I really feel like we have to encourage one another to try to find ways of expressing these ideas in an artistic form. It has so much influence on the heart, and I just I've always felt like we were so fortunate to have artists like Seals and Crofts. So many of these artists from like Dizzy Gillespie, who spoke so eloquently in his own way about the influence of the faith, and that music and art have the capacity to really impact the soul in a different way. What we can't explain with reason, we can sort of transcend with art. And so there have been some amazing instruments of that of that art, and I think of Seals and Crofts, and I think of the incredible influence that they had. We would play concerts, and 10,000 people would stay afterwards to hear about the faith. And it was all because that music was so attractive and so mysterious and so interesting, and I really feel like we have so much to offer because we understand that the arts are a higher form of expression and can actually connect with the heart on a different level, connect with the human soul on a different level. And so it's kind of that and film, I think, have great capacity to move the hearts. And so, is it okay if I close with this song, and then if obviously if you have questions or comments or
We have a gift here for you after you close with this last song, and we usually have a devotional part, but we would like to dedicate it to your mother. And we already have friends who are willing, and we've talked, and they would say prayers. We just need to know her name if possible.
Yes. Well, her name was Bernice. And I'm not sure how she ended up with a French name, because she was born in Eston, Saskatchewan. And she continued the tradition. Her name was actually Edith Bernice Lenz, and I sure appreciate you remembering her. She was the daughter of a farmer, one of 10 kids, and they grew up through the Depression. And yet she maintained such a spirit of optimism in her life. She all made us read the book by, you'll get a kick out of this, by Norman Vincent Peale, called The Power of Positive Thinking. We were all commissioned to read that book as soon as we could read. And I was walking down Fifth Avenue in New York one day, and I came across this church, and there was a statue in front of the church. And guess who it was? It was Norman Vincent Peale. All of my childhood memories about being told about how important this book was, and then reading this book as a child, she really kind of hammered into us that this was like the book that changed her life, that made her feel positive, even though she was raised in the Depression and was one of 10 kids, and they were pretty broke, as she used to say. So but I feel like she had a level of optimism, and unfortunately she got cancer in her early 40s and had a very difficult struggle. And I was off playing in a band called Jalal and traveling across the country, and I'd just become a Baha'i, and I was so excited about telling her all about this, but I wasn't home very much because while she was sick, and my sisters were. But it was so interesting that I brought her home a prayer book, and she loved the prayers. And it was just interesting how much it impacted her. just by having those prayers. And I didn't really. I tried to tell her about the Baha'i faith. It wasn't that she wasn't interested. She was just so sick and unable to really take in a lot. But it was really extraordinary to me that she just loved the prayers, and I felt like that was our connection. And of course, I was young and I was traveling and playing music, and so I didn't really spend time with her. But you know, it's interesting because even though we go through these losses, the fact that you're remembering her is very sweet. Listen, people, I'll tell you something. The world is moving to a world of one. One man, one woman, one child, one family. The greatest moments, the greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come. If we could see what just one could imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, inspiration, the greatest moments, yes, the greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, some people. I tell you something, my human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. Believe in yourself, we're to believe. A moment of truth, a moment for one man, one woman, one child, one planet. The greatest moments, the greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, listen, people. I tell you something, human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. We will be one human family. We will be one family. We will be forever together. We will see the new world coming. Our star is rising, and our star is shining. We will be one family, yes. We will be one family, one family. We will be one family, yes. We will be one family, one family, yes. We will be one family, yes. We will be one family. If we could see what just one could imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of the sun. That was a great time for my own child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, some people. I tell you something, my human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. 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 Thank you very much, Firuz, for having me here. I appreciate it. We're emerging from COVID, unified, happy, hoping that we don't get it again. And I sure hope all of you are well. Thank you very much.
Jack, I didn't want to thank you before Aniela and Gary read the prayers for your mom. And then if you don't mind,
Please.
can you wait here? Okay.
Of course.
Perfect. Daniela, please go ahead. Gary, after Daniela, please.
For our beautiful Bernice, who gave us you precious gem. And I believe she's recognized Baha'u'llah. O peerless Lord, praised be thou for having kindled that light in the glass of the concourse on high, for having guided that bird of faithfulness to the nest of the Abha kingdom. Thou hast joined that precious river to the mighty sea. Thou hast returned that spreading ray of light to the Sun of Truth. Thou hast welcomed that captive of remoteness into the garden of reunion, and led her who longed to look upon thee to thy presence in thy bright place of lights. Thou art the Lord of tender love. Thou art the last goal of the yearning heart. Thou art the dearest wish of the martyr's soul. Abdullah.
I'd like to say something before I say this prayer. First of all, thank you, Jack, so much. You talked about your love for your mother. I too, and my mother ascended at the age of 55. Took me on a different trajectory. I served 20 years, 6 months, 25 days in prison as a result of my crashing. You talked about your mother giving you poetry. My mother gave me music also, but from a generational traumatized place. I love Dan Seals. I knew him and I got to know him. I was in communication with him prior to my being incarcerated. When you sang "Come Back to Me," it was in prison, is where Baha'u'llah told me to come back to him. Wow. We have made a basement the garment of glory. My life has been one of a basement. I've felt unworthy for so many, but what I get to our extreme lives, our love for Baha'u'llah. This is the power of this faith. We come from two totally different backgrounds, but our love for Baha'u'llah in service to him. My mother, the Friday before she ascended, I got her to say, Allahu Akbar. I labor in my mother's name now. My mother's name is Andrea. She did not declare her faith in Baha'u'llah, but that's my first seed of faith came from her in its most traumatized version because of her life. But I'm here, I'm her prayer. So everything I labor in now is for Andrea. So the gift of you're sharing that same passion and those things about your mom and how dear she is, I heard it in your voice, I hear it in your fingers. They are Baha'u'llah saying, that's Bernice's son. Baha'u'llah saying, that's Andrea's son, and I labor in that love. So I thank you for your share. But again, just the power of this faith is all God. So I thank you, my brother, for your share. And I'm going to share this prayer for your mother, Bernice, and my mother, Andrea, and for other mothers that ascended. And also the prayer, because my mother was diseased with alcoholism, and I was away from her as well. But it was in that prison when I remembered the words of Abdul Baha, death, the tender messenger of joy that opens the door to eternal life in every world of God. That's what made me started. But that was a turnaround point for me, because I realized my mother didn't suffer as she did on this earthly plane, that she was free. And I committed to labor from that point on in her name. This is Andrea's son serving the cause of Baha'u'llah, and I know she's blessed. And we mingle all the time. And so I celebrate instead of mourning. Mourning her took me down some dark paths. But God's grace and mercy, in his forgiveness, it has me here, sitting here in this space. So thank you again. And so I'll read this prayer, but then chant this short prayer that I used to pray, knowing my mother was well. Aloha, 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 aloha. O thou kind Lord, this dearly cherished maidservant was attracted to thee, and through reflection and discernment longed to attain thy presence and enter thy realms. With tearful eyes, she fixed her gaze on the kingdom of mysteries. Many a night she spent in deep communion with thee. Many a day she lived in intimate remembrance of thee. At every morn she was mindful of thee, and at every eve she centered her thoughts upon thee. Like unto a singing nightingale, she chanted thy sacred verses, and like unto a mirror she sought to reflect thy light. O thou forgiver of sins, open thou the way for this awakened soul to enter thy kingdom, and enable this bird trained by thy hand to soar in the eternal rose garden. She is afire with longing to draw nigh unto thee. Enable her to attain thy presence. She is distraught and distressed in separation from thee. Cause her to be admitted into thy heavenly mansion. O Lord, we are sinners, but thou art the forgiver. We are submerged in the ocean of shortcomings, but thou art the pardoner, the kind. Forgive our sins and bless us with thine abundant grace. Grant us the privilege of beholding thy countenance, and give us the chalice of joy and bliss. We are captives of our own transgressions, and thou art the king of bountiful favors. We are drowned in the sea of iniquities, and thou art the Lord of infinite mercy. Thou art the giver, the glorious, the eternal, the bounteous, and thou art the all-gracious, the all-merciful, the omnipotent. He who is the bestower of gifts and the forgiver of sins. Verily, thou art he to whom we turn for the remission of our failings. He who is the Lord of Lords, Abdul Baha. O Lord, my God, open thou the door. Prepare the means, make safe the path, and guide the way. For verily thou art the help in peril, the self-subsisting Yahweh-Apa, Yahweh-Apa, Yahweh-Apa. O Lord, my God, open thou the door, provide the means, make safe the path, and guide the way. For verily thou art the help in peril, the self-subsisting Yahweh-Apa, Yahweh-Apa, Ya Baha'i Apa.
Thank you.
I love you, Karen. Love you, Jack.
Jack, I wanted to thank you so very much. Words fail me to express how you impacted our soul. But I mean, that's not anything new. You have always been like that. You are a part of our history. You are, you know, our children and our sisters and brothers, they were raised with your songs and with your music. You created a Baha'i community which was beautiful and is still beautiful because of what you have done. We are very grateful to you and we love you.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. I appreciate the encouragement. You know, I was raised on the prairies, as I told you, and there's a song that says "Home, home on the range." Gary, you'll appreciate this. Um, where the deer and the antelope play, and where never is heard a discouraging word, and the clouds are not, and the skies are not cloudy all day. And I think that that's the reality of growing up in Saskatchewan. It was a very ideal world, right? So I really appreciate those very kind thoughts. Thank you.
And Jack, much love to Mercy John. She
Yeah.
was in our prayers.
Thank
And
you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to apologize for the friends who wanted to say a prayer and raised hand. It's already 9:20 and
I had a question. Can I ask?
Please.
go ahead.
Okay. Jack Lenz, were you in the, did you come to Iran or Tehran in the 70s
Oh,
by any chance?
you know, I joined Seals and Crofts after they went on their pilgrimage there. Marcia Day took Jimmy and Dash to the Shrine of the Bob, and they visited the Shrine of the Bob in the early 70s, and that was before I joined them. So I was very sorry to miss that trip.
Do you know that these songs that you sang, I learned it over there.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So that's why because features don't, we get old. I looked something else. You possibly looked something else. So that was the reason I asked, because I said, well, I learned these over there now. Anyway, so your performance was overwhelming. Thank you very much, and
Thank
really
you so
enjoyed it.
much. That's very
Thank you.
kind. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Now that Yasamin Khanum commented, Dr. Hissam, please go ahead.
Allah have her, dear
Oh,
Jack,
my dear friend, how are you?
how much you.
Dr.
It is so
Hassan.
nice, so
Thank you,
nice
my
to
friend.
see you here.
So nice
Wonderful,
to see
wonderful
you.
event.
I haven't seen you in too long.
Yes, yes.
Are you well?
We are fine, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, as you say, age go up, the power, the energy, all go down.
Oh,
Up, down.
so nice to see you.
So nice to see you. Dear friend Chad came to our holiday celebration here in Oregon through Zoom. We used his song so many times. Baha'is loved your performance. And I have one question.
Please.
Puchi. Are you educating or training any of our youth that they become, nobody can become Jack Lenz, but are you educating, training some of our youth to, be at least a part of what you are?
Well, thank you, my friend. I'm aware of so many young people who are coming to join the ranks with their wonderful talents, and I think you'll be very surprised at the what I call will be an explosion of new talent and abilities for people. I hear about them all the time. I listen to their music. I really feel there's something special coming to us all through through Baha'u'llah's inspiration of so many young people and talented young people.
Yes,
I
yes,
think that's very much going to happen, and I have a feeling it will have a significant impact on the faith in the future,
of course, of course. Yes,
on our growth as a community.
yes,
Really, it will.
yes.
Um, I'm very encouraged. Thank you for your kind comments, but I'm very encouraged that there are much
Yes.
better singers and piano players coming.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you
Thank you.
again. Hannah Masood, Vadir Jazz,
Thank you,
Mr.
Dr.
Lenz.
Hassan.
Thank
Appreciate.
you so much.
This is wonderful
God
event.
bless. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Exactly.
Shannon will be the last comment, please.
Yes. I wonder if anyone remember when Janoba Caldwell started in Alaska with a group of musicians
Yes.
and came across Canada. And we were in Quebec. We rented 5 chalets.
Yes.
Ron and I were at Turtle Lake.
Yes.
And they moved Quebec
Yeah.
to unbelievable heights. We
Yes.
had 500 declarations in Quebec.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we didn't have the facilities to keep all those, but it was unbelievable time. Do you
Yes.
have any memories of that?
Yes. It was very. Thank you for remembering that, but it was such a strange experience because none of the people in our band, none of the musicians spoke French, and my French was very limited, and so we had to get up and play these concerts at all these cégeps, and this fortunately, music overcame our lack of French because we didn't know much French, and there we were trying to teach through music in Quebec. But it's something I'll never forget. We had a school bus and all these people, and we went from town to town and cégep to cégep, and it was really extraordinary.
It was fabulous. I have to tell you, we were pioneers in Tracy Sorrell,
Wow. Okay.
and we were 3 Baha'is.
Yeah.
That year, we formed our assembly,
Yes.
and it was unbelievable. Your group, the group, truly moved. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people showed up at those concerts.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
just packed
Yeah.
to more than capacities. And
Yeah.
it was absolutely the best thing that could have happened to Quebec.
Yeah.
It mobilized us.
I remember it well, and I always thought it was so strange that they had these a bunch of long-haired hippies from Saskatchewan teaching the faith and couldn't speak French. It was very strange. Yeah.
Nobody cared. The music moved everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was dancing to the music and moving. And those are the days that we learned all these songs.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
truly.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for coming.
Oh, please.
And thank God for Janoba Caldwell.
Yes, for sure. Yes. Oh, boy. Oh, that's for sure. Yes. Thank you so much. That's very sweet to remember.
Jack, we don't want to let you go, but we know that you have not been well, and there are certain responsibilities. We understand that, but in front of all these people, we will ask you to be here at the night of Nowruz, the Baha'i New Year, the 20th of March. Have a
Yes.
look at your calendar so we will celebrate together again.
Oh, I would love that. That's very sweet. I would love that. Maybe I can learn some new songs.
We don't need any more new songs. This was perfect, fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, my dear. God bless. Thank you all.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha, my friends. God bless.
Aloha.
Thank you very much.
Aloha,
Thank,
Jack.
thank you, everyone.
Aloha.
Love to the family.
Thank you so much. And to yours, sweethearts.
Wonderful. Awesome person. Aloha.
Yeah. Well, we will make sure that there's going to be some very exciting news this year, but I'll wait till March to tell you.
Wonderful. We look forward to it. Thank you, Jack.
Hey,
Much
God
love.
bless. Thank
God
you.
bless. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Friends, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate
Media player.
love you all. See you next week. We're going to have an awesome program next week. Indy, you didn't leave me your email address. I have,
A chat if you want.
yeah. Okay, so do it because I will copy it from the chat then.
And Gary, thank you for singing. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Gary, fantastic. Gary, we don't tell people such good news you have. We don't dare. Or do you want us to share the news with others?
It is coming.
Huh?
We have a fireside. Didn't we say we're gonna have a fireside?
Yes, yes. I just wanted you to know that Gary and his wife to be
We're investigating one of those characters.
yes, both of them will give a fireside, and thank you for leaving your email address here. I will invite everyone. So Patrick, Dr. Hesam, Mr. Liu, Heather, Pina Jan, I'm sorry you didn't say a prayer. All of you, you have to come. Gibi, bonsoir. So we would be able to listen to this beautiful couple. Beautiful couple. Gary, she is beautiful, Gary.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Gary,
Yes.
Gary, where do you live?
I live in Brown Summit, North Carolina. That's my email address right there. I always leave it up. That's my exact email.
I copied it down. I wrote it down, so I'll send you a message.
Yes, thank you.
That's great. North Carolina, that's James Taylor's home base.
Yes, and Van Gilmore. I actually live in the same county as Van grew up in. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's James Taylor. That's all that music's my music. Yes, love it.
Yeah. Well, that was great, and what you shared about your mom and your whole experience, it was fantastic.
God's grace and mercy. God's grace and mercy. So I'm just humbled and thankful.
And it's Farouz. You're gonna email about the 20th.
Oh, I'm going to. We have weekly firesides as good as this. So, so it is not only once a month or whatever. It is once a week. So I must admit that next week would be fantastic too. I'm going to send you the invitation, and Gary and. Shall I say the name or
You can say her name. You can say her name.
I don't have permission from her?
Okay. All right. I
So
can
you-
say her name. I can say her.
Yes.
Okay. Roya.
Yeah, Roya Bowman.
Yes.
Roya Bowman. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful fireside with both of them. It's just that in the coming month, I'm going away and I want to be there. Of course, other people will be here to take care of this, but I want to be there. Can we ask you two for March, Gary, or is it too late?
It's up to you. Whichever date you tell us, we'll be there.
Okay. Okay, perfect. 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 Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you so much. You're in Ottawa. Heather, you already left your email for me, didn't you?
No, I can do that.
Okay. You know, when we arrived in Canada, thank you, Heather, appreciated. What happened was that we were at a neighborhood which belonged to the newcomers, and we wanted to have a fireside. They told us, why don't you ask Jack Lenz? I think this must have been 1979. And Jack Lenz, I think he was married then. He came to our apartment and gave the most amazing fireside. And then we became, all of us became brothers and sisters. Anyways, so I'm so glad that you all shared this beautiful evening tonight. Love you all. Come back next week. And much love. Gary, love you.
Love you all. Love you.
Love you, love you, love you.
Love you. Aloha, everyone. Aloha.
Bye, bye, bye.
Heather, I copied your email, so I'll send you a message.
Oh, great. Yeah, we should get in touch.
Yeah, and quickly, where did you teach?
I taught at Mannerdale and then Barhaven Public and then Stittsville Public.
Okay, I'm at Canterbury High School, so.
Oh, two of my kids went there.
Okay, small world.
Small world, yes. Yeah, send me an email.
Okay, very good. Well,
Okay.
lovely to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you. Be well. Be well. Aloha.
Be well.
Likewise.
See you soon, Pina.
Aloha.
Love you all.
Ciao.
Aloha.